Hi, I'm Brittany, and today I'll talk to you about trait theory when it comes to communication. So what is trait theory? Trait theory is an approach that has been used to understand human personality and behavior and how that relates to human communication. Trait theory involves the measurement of patterns of habits of an individual's behavior, thoughts, and emotions. To fully understand trait theory, we must first understand what exactly personality traits are. According to the DSM-5, personality traits are prominent aspects of personality that are exhibited in a wide range of important social and personal contexts. Trait theory is an essential approach to understanding human communication because it explains that personality traits are prominent aspects of personality, which play a key component in how we communicate. To really understand trait theory, we must first understand the theories and the theorists behind trait theory. One of the most influential trait theorists being Gordon Allport, and he talks about his hierarchy of traits. He believed that every individual's personality consists or is shaped by a set of traits. He used three main categories in a hierarchy when relating to these traits. These include central, common, and cardinal. Central traits are traits that define a person's personality. They can be seen as the most important traits and greatly influence a person's behavior. The next trait in the hierarchy by Allport are common traits. Common traits are usually restricted to a specific culture. They're usually traits that are in every person, just at varying degrees, such as kindness, loyalty, and friendliness. The traits at the bottom of the hierarchy are cardinal traits, or sometimes known as secondary traits. These traits are the traits that individuals identify with the most, such as preferences or attitudes. Secondary traits can explain why someone may show certain behaviors that seem unlike their usual behaviors. These are the traits that many are recognized or known because of. Gordon Allport hypothesized that these internal or external forces, which are now known as genotypes and phenotypes, influence an individual's personality and behavior. Genotypes are internal forces that relate to how a person retains information and uses it to interact with the world. Phenotypes are external forces that relate to the way an individual accepts his or her surroundings and how others influence his or her behavior. The next theorist is Raymond Cattell. His goal was to simplify Gordon Allport's research and how that related to human behavior. He believed that it was important to sample a wide range of variables to have a full understanding of personality. The first type of data he collected was life data. Life data involved collecting information from a person or individual's everyday life behaviors. Another type of data he collected was experimental data. This data involved measuring reactions to standardized experimental situations. The last type of data is questionnaire data. This data involved gathering responses based on introspection of an individual about his or her own behavior or feelings. With this data, Cattell used factor analysis to come up with 16 dimensions of human personality traits. Those included, and this is on my slide as well if you'd like to follow along, abstractedness, warmth, apprehension, emotional stability, liveliness, openness to change, perfectionism, privateness, intelligence, rule consciousness, tension, sensitivity, social boldness, self-reliance, vigilance, and dominance. From these 16 personality traits, he developed a personality assessment called the 16PF. It's scored on a dimension from high to low instead of whether or not you have a specific trait being present or absent. The next influential trait theorist was Hans Eysenck, and he really talked about temperament. And so what is temperament? Temperament can be described as innate, genetically based personality differences. He believed personality is overseen mostly by biology. He explained people as having three specific personality dimensions: extroversion versus introversion, neuroticism versus stability, and psychoticism versus socialization. On the fourth slide, you can kind of see it has a good range of, talks about extroversion, and if you're high in extroversion, you're more likely to be sociable or sensation seeking. If you're low, you're unsociable or cautious. Neuroticism, if you're high, you're tense, anxious, irrational. Low being calm and relaxed. And then psychoticism, high meaning aggressive, selfish, lacking in feeling. Low meaning non-aggressive, warm, and aware of others. And then another thing that was really influential when it came to trait theories is the 5-factor model. It seems to be the most common in today's research when it comes to trait theory. The research behind the 5-factor model started in 1949 when D.W. Frisky found support for only 5 factors instead of the 16 factors of personality like Cattell. Research on this increased through the 1980s to the 1990s, which showed even more support for the 5-factor model. The most well-known model or version of the model is by Paul Costa and Robert McCrae. The acronym OCEAN is often used to recall their 5 factors or the big 5 personality traits. The 5 personality traits include openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Openness to experience can include like appreciation for art, emotion, adventure, and unusual ideas, curiosity, and variety of experience. Conscientiousness has to do with an individual or person's tendency towards self-discipline, dutifulness, competence, thoughtfulness, and being goal-driven. Extroversion, we've talked about this before and when it comes to trait theory, but it can be usually categorized as being outgoing or energetic. For instance, a person who scores high in extroversion is characterized by high energy, positive emotions, being talkative, social, and assertive. Agreeableness is the tendency to be friendly, compassionate, cooperative, rather than kind of going against the norm or being cold and unkind towards others. Neuroticism can be referred to as a person's degree of emotional stability and their impulse control. Most people lie somewhere in between the two ends of each dimension. So this means that every person, their level of each dimension is different, and people aren't necessarily defined as either or on a range. And this relates to some of the other theories that we've talked about as well. So with theories and different theorists that come along, there comes criticisms. So the 5-factor model, there's criticisms of that. Some of it being psychologists say that they are grouping individuals with certain traits that can make us miss critical differences among individuals. They say that the 5-factor model doesn't explain all of human personality and it neglects other domains of personality. It's not based on any other underlying theory. In empirical finding that descriptors put together under factor analysis is something that they say about the 5-factor model as well. So kind of going back to trait theory as a whole, and what are the strengths and limitations of trait theory? So the strengths would be that trait theorists have the ability to categorize observable behaviors in their use of objective criteria. Another strength would be they are able to observe behaviors of individuals over a period of time. And the last one would be multiple theorists come up with similar traits by using factor analysis. Some limitations of trait theory would be that they can't predict behavior in every situation. Trait theories require personal observation, so it requires someone to kind of look into their own personality, their behaviors, and it's kind of hard to say that every person is able to do that. And they also, psychologists say that they don't explain why individuals behave in a certain way. So how does trait theory really wrap around with dealing with communication? After really researching trait theory and learning about it, it plays an important impact on communication because it's one of the main approaches to studying communication. According to Karen Foss and Stephen Littlejohn, trait theory holds that people tend to exhibit certain communication styles and predict that these traits make one communicate in a certain way. Different personality traits affect individuals and people differently, and that can weigh in differently when it comes to how an individual communicates. Trait theory is an essential approach in understanding human communication because it explains that personality traits are prominent aspects of personality which play a key component in communicating. I included my references as well at the bottom if you'd like to research more on trait theory, but hopefully I answered all the questions on trait theory. I enjoyed researching trait theory and I'm excited to have you guys go through my material. Thank you.